What a great state. So I went to shoot this documentary with Ian Crossland, which you'll hear more about as time goes on. But man, Texas is amazing. I mean, it's been a while since I've been here, and I was thinking it was like cliche. Everyone's talking about how great Texas is, all the people moving to Texas. I figured, whatever, right? But then I visited, and I gotta say, like, the worst of Texas is better than the best of California right now. And the food's great, the people are respectful, like good people. Texas is awesome. Like, I totally didn't understand. I mean, I really didn't understand how great Texas was. I mean, it just feels good everywhere I've been so far. Went to the Capitol and shot a video with my new buddy 6'7" Kevin, who apparently he's been 6'7" long before the meme existed. He's just a super tall man, 6'7", 6'7" Kevin, 6'7" Kevin. Hope you guys are watching his stuff. He does documentaries and some really interesting political stuff. He's been to the borders, and we went and we shot the graphene doc, but then afterwards I hung around with him and helped him shoot a couple videos about different things. One of them being the screwworm epidemic, which is pretty interesting. We talked to some of the law people, who were legislators in Austin, and it's interesting that screwworm is going to destroy a lot of the meat production. And the problem is, screwworm is it's in Mexico, but it's hitting Texas now. And why is this happening? Well, apparently cartels have a lot of money to be made in the beef industry. So it's better than selling drugs, right? They're selling meat, but the kinds of people that are business people, but also are gangsters, they have figured out if they can import screwworm and destroy the cattle production in Texas, then people will have to buy the better beef from Mexico. It's a total money-making scheme, which is kind of crazy.
Slight right.
I don't know if you can hear my Google Maps, but I got sick and tired of the Google Maps lady, so I installed the Indian lady's voice. Way better. She's cool to talk to. You should hit Flawed and Mo while you're there. Yeah, I did hit them up. I don't think they're very close to here. Texas is a really big state, so I'd have to go to a different region, which I might do, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to make it over there. I definitely want to see Flawed. I want to see Garrett. There's a bunch of people. George is here, the Giant Slayer. Like, most of the base AF crew are Texans, so. But yeah, I'm seeing all the people I can while I'm in Texas. I feel bad because last night I was supposed to meet up with, can't remember now, somebody with a Q in their name, right? At the Reggae Fest, but I didn't see them there. But wasn't sure if that was my fault. So, my bad if I missed you. I'm walking in the back here. It's so clean, man. Like, the roads are clean. It's not quite Singapore, It's crazy. So we shot this graphene doc. It was really interesting. All these people are, when you talk about H-1B visas, they're always like, oh, Indians are poor, so they want to work harder. Well, there's tons of people from like Appalachia and poor places that didn't have a lot of money growing up, but they were given the opportunities, public educations and scholarships, and they worked hard, and now you've got opportunities for them to start their own companies, American needs, and there's a lot of hardworking Americans too, which you hear about it, but you don't see it in California. So it's kind of interesting how many people really in Texas have proven that whole Texan spirit. I was also thinking about how, did you visit Hippie Hollow yet? No, I haven't gone to Hippie Hollow yet. There are trains in Texas. That's true, there are trains in Texas. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Abraham Lincoln made America this fascist country, right? Like, so originally, people used to say the United States are. And then after Lincoln, they started saying the United States is. And Texas is like its own republic, like California is. but they're a little bit more into it. So I like that. I like this idea. Hold on now. Do I have to go down here and to the right? I'm trying to find this place called the Green Belt. It's supposed to be a nice little nook to hang out in. But yeah, I feel like it's not so much that we need a secession movement in the United States. We just need to collapse the federal government, which is hard to do. But realistically, if the states work together, but we're still independent, then America would be great. There'd be no reason to secede because there wouldn't be a federal government that's forcing states to do things they don't want to do. Yeah, I think it's a right here. Zyker Park. Dude, Mike, where are you at? Are you in Austin? Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah, but I was just thinking about it, like, we don't really need a secession movement if states were afforded their own sovereignty. And Texas is a great example of that, where it seems to be working out just fine. Then again, you think about California, and if you like the establishment, you're like praying for the establishment to take over. You want the federal government to come into California and force them to clean up their act, because dude, the roads are falling apart in California. California's just completely crazy. They don't care to take care of their infrastructure or anything. Human trafficking, drugs, gangs, prostitution everywhere. It's like kids are becoming prostitutes on their own suburb streets because they can't afford to like live anymore. Super sad. So it's hard to know what's better, like that balancing between a federal government and a state. If the federal government screwed up, the state's supposed to be better. And if the state's screwing up, you have to pray for the federal government to help. Let's see here. The word is the United States. The world is the United States. Maybe. I feel like the world is not the United States. Germany is kind of like a secret state of the United States, but it's really a state of the deep state that was controlling it. NATO, Operation Gladio, all that. So it's hard to be like, oh, America, it runs everything. I feel like that's how Trump got elected in the first place, 2016. CIA was too busy trying to make the rest of the world this deep state alliance, and they had so much energy in all these other countries that they weren't really watching out at home. And so America got, it had they were too busy trying to get rid of democratic revolutions in other countries, trying to make sure that no one voted in their own governments. And they forgot to do that in America. So, I don't know, what do you guys think about, are we the baddies? What do you guys think about California and the secession movement and Gavin Newsom? Yeah.
Turn left.
See, isn't that great that like Indian lady is so much better? I feel like America is sort of devolving into chaos in most of these other states, but Texas is getting ready to be its own country. It's like, well, if we can't rely on anybody else, we're just going to do it ourselves. And I'm not too far from the Mystic Creek thing where all those girls died. There's a lot of bad stuff that does happen here, and they still need the federal government to help with. But yeah, shouldn't you be able to have your own nation state? Like every state should be its own nation state, and Texas should be its own nation state. I also can't tell that it's Texas super strongly. Like, it doesn't have this vibe to it. It's like a cowboy place to me. It just, the concrete, everything looks nice. Like, I would easily forget that I'm not in California except for everything looks nice, right? There's got to be regions of California that are okay still, but haven't seen them. And then Texas itself, it's just got the same infrastructure now. So there's probably like some marriage between the federal government and states that makes sense. Well, did you guys see the new South Park? What do you guys think about the new South Park? Super bright out, actually. The United States meant the United Nations of America. I don't know, man. Like, BRICS and all these other nations are good because it causes some sort of a competition. Like, if you have competition, then you have to be better. California, what do you think the deal is? Like, why are they destroying California? Like, it seems the whole place is just spiraling into self-destructive chaos, and it has to be intentional, right? Because there's no way that they couldn't fix it if they wanted to. I don't even understand at this point, because I'm such a conspiracy theorist. I try to remind myself not everything is a conspiracy, but California feels like the biggest conspiracy. It's just completely screwed. It doesn't make any sense. Well, so Austin's also where InfoWars is. I'm gonna try to get myself to go on Friday over there and check out the studio, see what's happened and changed. A lot of things are changing with InfoWars. They were dealing with all of those lawsuits, and they couldn't keep hiring and paying the same people, so they've gotten several of the people that I love who work there not working there anymore. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to even talk about who works there or not anymore, but I don't see how they're gonna make how they're gonna make it. I mean, InfoWars was originally supposed to be this sort of countercultural thing, and now it's more of a Fox News on the internet thing, which is weird. I don't know. Scribbles redacted. Yeah, I mean, United Nations, BRICS, multiple economies. I feel like a big thing with Trump's 100% tariff on anyone using a BRICS currency is Bitcoin. They're just going to set it up so that eventually every country uses Bitcoin. All right, let me check this out here. Sorry, I was just checking to make sure I'm walking the right direction. So, going through this nice neighborhood, trying to get to this green belt, it's called. It's supposed to be a nice place. I also set up a meeting with Ian Crossland and Ward Radio, the Mormons, because a bunch of Mormons wanted to have Ian meet them to learn more about Mormonism, because they were talking about the Mormons on Timcast at some point and not really giving them a fair shake. So that should be happening maybe this coming week or something. We have a meeting to talk about it later, so that's cool. The lawmaker we met was a Mormon. He was pretty stoked to be appreciated. So much of the time they're dealing with Christians that hate them. They're like, oh, you guys aren't really like us. Especially interesting was after that crazy dude he drove into a church. He drove into a Mormon church like a month ago or something. And then people were just on the internet, instead of saying, dude, we're sorry for the deaths that happened to these innocent people, they're like, dude, Mormons aren't Christians. It's like, really, bro, this is not the time for that. Yeah, right? I mean, if you wear a button-up shirt, are you still a bum? That's the question I have about all the 6 homeless people I've seen in Austin. It's Austin, though, so Austin's supposed to be the liberal state or county here. It's not expected to be as conservative. I went through Houston. Houston was pretty religious and conservative. I liked it. I want to show you this, but I can't. There's a Sasquatch holding a flamingo on the back of that guy's truck.
Turn left.
Turn left. See here. I know it sounds ridiculous, but too late for woulda, shoulda, coulda now. Yeah. There's not a lot of change. Oh, whoa. Dude, there's a million deer right there. Can I flip this around so you can see them? You see these guys? It's so blurry there because of the sunlight. Maybe if I move just slightly.
Turn right.
Hiking trail. I should be allowed to do this, right? What's up, deers? There you go. Now you can see them. Just grip a deer right there. There they go. That's a good sign, right? When Bambi hangs out, that's got to be a good sign. Okay, so we're going on this hiking trail here, walking by these houses. Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that was kind of interesting, and I might have said this already, was that the scientists were religious Christians. And I just thought that was really interesting, like in Texas, that you could have both. I grew up in California where everybody religious was anti-science, everybody science was anti-religion, except for like Jesuit Catholics or something, which neither one liked. It's like the Mormons of their time, the metaphysicists. Oh, dude, here's another one. Bro, look at you. There we go. Big old Bambi right there. I'm alright. He ain't gonna come at me. And if he does, I'll get him. Sometimes you gotta just stand your ground. Stand your ground laws in Texas are real, right? That's the thing. Even stand your ground against deer. Yeah, bro. That's right. You better run. You better. Dude, how sweet is that? They're just hanging out. I mean, it's weirdly beautiful. Like I didn't think that. I thought Texas was gonna be all dry. Yeah, I got the Indian lady voice from my Google Maps, and it's so much better. If you have to listen to that, I hate the ChatGPT bubbly voice. I'm not a big fan of these bubbly LA voices. Maybe it's because I don't like my own accent, but the California accent just bothers me. I remember being in Peru. I'd crossed Paraguay and Bolivia, hadn't heard English in like months. Then I do the Cusco, climbing up all the Machu Picchu steps. I get down, I'm sitting in a train, and all of a sudden I hear these California girls. First time I've heard English in months. And they're like, oh my God, did you feel that? Yeah, I totally felt that. I felt like so...
Turn left.
It was like so spiritual, I felt like so alive. Yeah, it was like my chakras. And I was just like, oh God, I totally get why acid gets thrown on people in trains by refugees or religious Muslims. Not that I'm for it, not advocating. I'm just saying I understood at that point. It's like, dude, you don't want to hear people. Have I been to San Antonio? Of course. Man, San Antonio, been a while since I was there. Last time I was there, I was in a taqueria. Somebody was like robbing the taqueria. This was like 15 years ago. And this girl I was with, like, we got out the back of it because one of those L-shaped taquerias. So they came in one side and we were near the back of the backside. So we just like got out. But that was a trip to me. I always thought, whoa, Texas is dangerous. But pretty sure that's more likely to happen in California at this point. And, the worst of it's wherever they have gun laws. Basically, as far as I can tell, no one's going to bring a gun in to a gun shop and try to rob it. No one's going to go into a cowboy saloon and aim a gun at people. There's just a little bit more common sense than that. This vertical here, walking on this trail. The green belt. I heard good stories about this area. Yeah, I mean, it's just nice here, Like, this is kind of what Southern California used to feel like. Got like closed off roads, all nicely paved, clean cut. Everything's so clean. It's pretty awesome. Okay, let me walk through here. So I got to go back to California at some point for a little while, see my dad, take care of some business, tend to the farm. My car's all screwed up apparently. Has like a bad air intake sensor. I'm gonna have to fix it. It's been sitting for like a year since I've been in Europe. Okay, let's see. Up here we go. I guess I arrived. Was this it? This must be it. Interesting. Are you walking to California? Probably not. What's up, Eugenie? Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll fly from Austin through Vegas or something, back to San Francisco, spend like a week or something in California, and then that's usually about as much as I can handle before I get sick of that place, you know? It's, I keep rooting for it, but California is one of those places that has to burn down before it gets better. It's like a phoenix or something. All right, let me check this up. Do you need a ride, bruh? Too much vaping? You can't vape. That's the wrong thing to do. But there's a lot more hills than I thought, too. I thought Texas was completely flat. What did I miss? I don't know the geography. Yeah, San Antonio is cool. I like the Alamo a lot, but I always thought about the Alamo growing up as this dilapidated, burnt up place. You get to the Alamo, it's all clean, white paint, stucco. It looks like a Japanese bonsai Zen garden now, which is kind of trippy. Didn't expect that. I thought they'd at least make it look like, you know, like Auschwitz or something. Like they should dramatize the Alamo. If you want to remember the Alamo, you can't clean it up too much. That was my opinion. Sculpture Falls is on the barren greenbelt. You are in the Texas Hill Country, Bubba. Yeah, and I like it. That's what I'm saying. Texas is awesome. It's a pretty good place. Well, damn kangaroo horses jumping fence trails all the time. Yeah, you know, I heard that there was some group that wanted to import kangaroos to the Midwest because they make good meat and great leather. I think kangaroo leather is better than any other leather. That was the thing. But they breed like giant rats. So probably not a good idea to have giant kangaroos running around like they already caused enough trouble in Australia. So probably would want to do that. But man, dude, if you ever use kangaroo leather, it's like, it bends all nice, dude. Super sweet. Well, okay, so we got Think Tank on Sunday. The Ward Radio thing was going to be later today. We're going to figure out, but I think we're just going to do a meeting with them to figure that out. I don't know what you guys think I should do in terms of planning for that. Like, is there anything you want to hear Ian Crossland ask the Mormons? Or like, is there any questions you want to have them asked? I can make sure that they talk about it. And yeah, these glasses look awesome. Crawfish, you like these ones? I actually got these in, years ago. I was in Coachella and I went to a Indio party and I cleaned up the party. Like afterwards, they're like, we're gonna have to go around the grounds and clean up this whole area because a bunch of people littered and stuff like that. It's like, I'll help, for some reason. I don't remember why, but I just felt like might as well. Good people that were working there, I wanted to help them out. And I found these on the ground and I was like, what do we do with this? Like, well, no one's ever gonna find these again. So these probably belonged to somebody, like some rich trust fund kid or some Hollywood producer from the Associated Press. Who knows? Anyway, I've had them for years, man. Had these for years. And yeah, bring them with me a lot of the countries I go, actually. They basically come with me everywhere I go. These ones have been to Chile, Peru, Germany, Bosnia, etc. Did you guys see that article about Sarajevo where there were rich NATO tourists that were spending $70,000 a pop to snipe at civilians in Sarajevo and in Bosnia? It's pretty crazy. You got to look at this article, but I'll probably help talk about it more on Think Tank. And I'll pull it up and read it. It's hard to do on my phone, but there was a group and they just recently kind of evidenced it and put it out to the public. Yeah, you heard about that. Just crazy. This rich people, and it's funny because everyone's talking about jihad tourism. Not everybody, but a lot of people in Europe are like, hey, you got people that are refugees from Muslim countries coming to Europe, and then they go back to fight in a war for the summer, and then they come back. So it's all paid for on tax dollar from Sweden or Germany or wherever, that they're financing them to fly back and forth and buying their food, and the money's going towards ammunitions, everything like that. So everyone's always like, oh man, that's crazy that they, who would ever do that? But it's funny because it's exactly the same thing that the West is doing. The only difference is the jihad tourism is for the Crusades and they're fighting for their religion, and we just have crazy Western psychopaths that just want to kill people for fun and kill like innocent civilians in Bosnia. It's kind of a trip. It's hard to really decide to be, you know, who or how do you defend the idea that we're the good guys or something. Not saying that, you know, jihad tourism is anything other than evil, but you know, we're not much better, and probably actually we might even be worse. That's kind of been my thought. What about happy news? What do you guys think about the Gavin box? Anybody interested in video games? I saw that Valve Steam box is going to come out. It's going to be this little cube, little mecha cube. Speaking of mecha, the little black cube, and you'll be able to play all your video games on it. Plus, they're having a new VR thing. That seems kind of sweet. I'm kind of into that. I would get that. Probably won't. I don't ever have any time to play video games, but yeah, the Gavin cube, the Gabe cube, dude. See, look at, they just have nice houses that they're building all the time. I don't want to like put them on blast, except for to say like, dude, these are just nice places. How could you think Texas was flat? In every old Western tale, the bad guys always rode up in the hills. You know why I thought that, Greases? Is because all the old Westerns were shot in California. So I always assumed, you know, hey, they faked Texas by shooting it in the Santa Clarita Valley, just the same place that they shoot like that big rock formation where Star Trek happens and everything. So I never assumed that that was in Texas. And most of the Texas movies I ever saw were art house movies. So when I think of Texas, I think of Dazed and Confused and you know, Waking Life. What was the other one? Yeah, South Spain for spaghetti westerns and stuff. Italy too. What was that one we were just talking about the other day? Any of the Richard Linklater films, you know, but also like Wes Anderson literally went from being a voyeur into Texas film. Now it's like the standard. Wes Anderson Texas movies are mainstream now, which is a trip. Your house was worth $65,000 and now it's $500,000. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, they did that in California first with the Silicon Valley thing, but it just got worse and worse. Hey, what's up?
Have you seen any little girl running around here?
No, yeah, I just came up that way.
Yeah, my neighbor, her daughter. No, I was just seeing it.
Oh, brutal. Do you know which way that she was coming from?
She just came off to right here.
Well, since I came that way and I didn't see her, maybe this way would be my best guess. I'll be walking that way if I see anything. Like, sorry, yeah, I'm a YouTube streamer. Hey, I'm Andreas.
Nice to meet you. My name's DJ.
You want to say hi?
Hi.
What's up? We're looking for a lost little girl now. That's our new situation. Yeah, I'll yell if I see anybody that way. I don't know if you're coming this way, but
Thank you so much. I'm just gonna look down here because she has a spot. She comes down here.
for sure, bro. Good luck, dude. Yeah, good luck. God bless. Well, things happen. I guess maybe that's the other thing, is it's so safe that kids wander. Oh, Xirtus. 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 Yeah, come sub. I'll tag you. Comment it and I'll tag you in. That's funny. A quest has just, we unlocked a quest. That kid had aura. Seemed like a nice guy. Well, I mean, we know from the direction I walked that I didn't see anybody that way. I think I would have noticed like a little kid walking around by themselves, because you don't do that in California. Whoa, a band's playing in their house. That's really cool. See, I think that's the thing there's a trade-off. Like, kids wouldn't go walking off in Oakland probably, or Santa Cruz, because like serial killer capital of the world. But in Texas, maybe a kid will just run off, and then you're worried about him because still not perfectly safe. Gotta worry about this kid now. Hopefully he finds her. Maybe she ran off in somewhere I didn't see. What's up, Lam Daba? Yeah, so if you're just joining us, we're on a quest to find a little girl that's been lost now. Which kind of added some drama to the stream. It was just me talking about video games a second ago. Now we're worried about human trafficking. I'm kind of kidding, because like, I feel like the kid's probably safe and okay, because it's Texas. But you never know. I mean, you can't just pretend everything's safe. Wait, go buy beer first. Bro, are you paying attention to the Mormon vibe of this? Do you get this yet? We're not doing that. I haven't drank in a long time and I'm pretty happy with it. Dude, drinking is so withery. It just makes your skin all like, bah. Then you feel like acid's burning you from the inside out for days, and it's no good. Is that the girl? Oh, there's a girl riding around right there on a scooter in someone's house though. So probably not. That might have been her. I don't know. If I see that kid again, I'll say I saw this house 2 from the end here. But see, how cool is that? People are like working together to find lost children. I've got low standards. Like, that's beautiful to me. California really screwed me up, man. I'll tell you. Did they give me a name? That's for me to know and you to find out. Or actually never. You're not allowed to find that out unless you get like a temple recommend. But of course, right? I think you can say, yeah, you did. Of course. That's how that works. You get a special name. But I have so many names, right? It's a big deal. I think my dad said as a kid, someone asked him what my brother and my name were, and he said, it doesn't really matter. They won't come when they're called. Ella, walking up to random girls is sus? Yeah, well, I haven't done that. I'm just saying, like, if I saw her, I could yell to that kid, and I could help him find her. But you could be like, dude, go home to your mother, right? Or something. You see a kid that's alone, be like, hey, parents are looking for you. But that does sound weird, doesn't it? Yeah, that does sound sus. You're right. That would be weird. What would you say? What would you say if you're like, hey, someone said that there's someone lost here. You should go find them. I'm not going to help because I'm a stranger, and you shouldn't trust strangers or something. Even though I'm like clearly very trustworthy. But that's how they get you, by looking trustworthy. See, I've got that weird Alf attitude, and I'm streaming. So yeah, say go home. Exactly, yeah, that's what I would do. I'd say go home, right? But that also seems kind of weird. What a dilemma. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Beautiful. The polar bears right here. Hey, beautiful polar bear. Yep. Look at these cute dogs. Cultural norm. Technically, I have legal witnesses. Yeah, but that seems like something collateral that you would have if you were, I don't know, maybe I'm overanalyzing it here. I mean, all I'm saying is, so far I've been impressed with how everyone's really polite. I mean, it's like, that's, there's that southern genteel politeness that people talk about. They seem to have it. And then just like, look how clean this is, right? Like, if this was in California, there'd be like stuff here. There wouldn't be so much green, and there'd just be like pollution everywhere. But instead, it's all nice. The roads recently paved and stuff. I'm surprised they use so much asphalt though, because I thought because of the heat that they wouldn't use as much asphalt. I see a lot more concrete, but there's still areas where they're using asphalt. I guess that just guarantees work. Once Upon a Time. Isn't that like a Disney show? Once Upon a Time? I think I saw that. It's like a Disney ABC show, right? Austin is not the South. I got it, but like I'm just saying, if this is the worst it gets, bro, the worst is better than the best it gets in California. I mean, I'm not kidding. And yeah, I get that Austin's not the South. Like, I lived in Louisiana, been to Georgia, Carolinas. I know. I'm a Sons of Confederate Veterans advocate, okay? But Austin, for a leftist cesspool, is not very leftist, as far as I could tell. It's pretty great. Yeah, Melissa, you're talking about the ABC Disney show. Yeah, I like that one. There was another show that they had at the same time that was about Sleepy Hollow, right? With, you know what I'm talking about? That one was really good. Like about a Freemason in Sleepy Hollow. It was like a time traveling or an immortal. Who is that again? Who's the main guy from Sleepy Hollow? You guys have to remember that trivia. Lambdaba, What Brings You to Texas? Well, I was saying earlier, I came to shoot a documentary at Rice University because Rice University is where nanotechnology started. So even when I was in school, we used to study what was going on at Rice University like it was freaking history. So I come out here and I meet the people at the Rice University. Yeah, the head, Ichabod Crane. 10 points to definitely not Eric Dubé. Yeah, Ichabod Crane is a Freemason in the show. It's pretty good. Well, so we came out here to shoot this documentary talking about the history of graphene. And it was interesting because all the stories I'd heard, I got to hear them from like first account witnesses. So Carter, for instance, is this like 80-year-old man, rides a bike around campus and he builds all the lab equipment. And he was saying, oh yeah, you know, Richard Smalley is the guy who, if you look up Richard Smalley, you'll learn a lot about nanotechnology. He's like, yeah, well, Rick was out here and then someone shot a laser. This kid named Michael Duncan, who was working for him, shot a laser up in his aluminum nozzle and it burned the aluminum nozzle. And that's how he made atomic aluminum particles, particulates that no one had ever seen that small before. He's like, wow, you just invented something new, nanoparticulates of aluminum. But he wasn't interested in carbon yet. And so then I think it was Kinsey, right? I think it was Kinsey who said, do something with carbon. Let's see what we can do with carbon. Put some carbon in there. And he's like, I don't know. I mean, we've already seen everything we know about. We know everything about carbon. There's nothing else to learn. He's like, just try it. So Rick Smalley puts some carbon in the machine, lasers it, and then boom, you get these all sorts of carbon nanoparticles that we hadn't seen before. Carbon nanotubes, graphene, even to some extent, certain kinds of carbon netting, nano onions, and then buckyballs, right? The fullerenes that he was inventing. We call them fullerenes because of Buckminster Fuller. So any of these shapes that Buckminster was working on that he thought he invented, all of a sudden carbon was naturally producing them. And so they were really impressed and thought, well, hey, we got a whole new kind of technology here. We have this tiny, tiny little thing. And the smaller it gets, there's less in the middle, right? So all of a sudden, as it gets smaller, there's smaller volume. Like the inside volume gets to be nothing. And all you have is surface area, right? Because it's just the outside of it's the surface. So you have a tiny volume to high surface area ratio, which is, you know, the things you can do with that in terms of photovoltaics or medical delivery systems, etc. It was pretty cool. So yeah, I knew about this going to school, but it was cool talking to someone who knew Rick Smalley. And Rick Smalley had died because he got leukemia, probably from dealing with all the chemicals in the lab. So then the next step was try to cure cancer, and he put all the money he could make from all these lab projects into curing leukemia and just didn't do it in time. But I met this Mexican guy, Cesarin, who's he looks, you know, like an indigenous person. He doesn't look like you know, it's funny because there's so many people, like God Bless America to me means Nigeria, Mexico, Japan, whatever, like someone's on the United Nations. Like America is this like idea of fusion of people that are working towards making the world a better place and about the American values, if you share the American values, which is interesting because if you're not, like you could look the same as everyone else but have different values, and does that make you not American? But that argument over what American values are, I don't know, I'm just rambling. This guy though, Caesar, he invented what's called the molecular jackhammer. A jackhammer that's like breaks up the ground. So he has this thing where you inject nanoparticles into the bloodstream and, you know, they break down really quickly. You got like about an hour before these carbon nanoparticles break down. People always think, oh man, they must put it in sorts of medicine. You're gonna have graphene in you forever. That's not really how carbon works, you know. It doesn't last very long. But they have the carbon going around in your bloodstream. C60? Yeah, C60 is the buckyballs. I'm just gonna speed up here. Did you already do an F-Chat Austin meetup? So technically we like arranged one yesterday and I didn't see them there. I went to the 6th Street reggae show, and so I don't know, several of the people said they were gonna be there. I think it was Quantum or Quote. What was his name, man? It starts with a Q. I feel so bad. He's gotta be posting somewhere here and I feel like I'm missing it. Anyway, all right, the jackhammer thing. So you inject these nanoparticles into your bloodstream. It's actually way safer than it sounds, and you've only got about an hour to work. And they flow through your bloodstream, and the idea is to attach them to tumors and things like that, which is easier than you'd think. Because when you put nutrients into the bloodstream, tumors are going to try to steal all the nutrients they can. So it's their own fault when this happens, but the tumors will actually suck up the nanoparticles. And while they're attached to the tumor, you shine a laser on them, okay? And if you use like an ultraviolet light, it doesn't really go very thin into this. It's very difficult to penetrate. But using an infrared laser or infrared light goes into the skin inches, right? You can actually shine infrared. The infrared will go right through the tissue. So if you shine an infrared laser onto the tumor where the nanoparticulates are at, if these nanoparticulates are built right to be basically quantum or nano MEMS, like biological motors, they'll start shaking. The infrared will make them shake, and then when they shake, if they're attached to something, they'll tear the thing apart. So the molecular jackhammer, that's why it gets that name. It'll torture it's not to torture the unborn, but it'll torture the tumor because it's very targeted. If you're using a laser, it's only gonna hit this like one little spot where the tumor's at. And this is a really amazing technique for actually just shredding up tumors inside of the bloodstream. If it's metastasized, you can use an infrared light and you can shine an entire region, and it still basically only gets the areas where the nanoparticulates have absorbed in the tumor. So it's crazy because it's like Star Trek medicine that can be used for destroying tumors. You can look it up, molecular jackhammer. The guys started a non-profit organization, and they're working with different medical companies to see if they can do medical delivery. I want to try to build a system that uses this for other things. We were talking to him about dementia research, and another interesting thing it does is it vibrates at a specific rate. So if you pulse the laser, you don't have to shred a tumor, but you can use this to actually propagate a certain rhythm of the cell. And when you model behavior with one cell, other cells will propagate and follow the rhythm of that cell. So you're able to actually train, if there's something that's likely to become a tumor, you're able to get that cell back on track and then the other cells will copy the behavior. This is how cancer works, right? Like if the cells are going to copy the bad behavior of a tumor cell. So here you can make the cells copy the good behavior of a good cell. And this is not just, it has huge implications for cancer, but it also has implications for dementia, because you're able to fix neurons and the plasticity of the neurocells in the brain, which is pretty interesting. And all of this is coming from a guy who, some poor guy from Mexico who ended up in Texas and just wants to make the world a better place. And he's been, given access to this great technology, but he's building amazing stuff with that technology, not necessarily to make money. Like he said, he started a nonprofit, but it could make tons of people money, because all it takes is different applications that you can turn this into a business for. That's another thing about these kids, is that a lot of them, since they don't have money, and the professor understands this, that if you make a technology that people can't make money off of, it disappears. So he's turning it into a thing where part of the project isn't just to make this technology, but to start a business. And every one of these kids, all these scientists, have their own businesses based around different technologies that they've discovered at Rice University. And each one of them could go off to become a millionaire. And like a lot of them, one of the kids we met is this Appalachian kid, clearly lived in a trailer before he ended up out here. And now he's like part of some church group and travels the world trying to minister to people, while also building new molecular materials, mexines, right? Which are kind of sandwiched carbon particulates with atomic metals in between them. So it's pretty exciting for a lot of reasons, but they understand the incentive that they have to make money. One of these kids named John Lee, his parents escaped China in the 80s, I guess, when it was, financially not a great place to be. And they lived all poor up in the East Coast, tiny like 1-bedroom apartment with like 6 people. And his brother, his sister, and him, they started their own company. I think it's called United Standard Materials, something like that. Good, solid American sounding name, for these Chinese Americans that started their company. And we were talking about how war is so, he's like, oh man, I don't like war, I want to stop war. I was like, well dude, you have to figure out how to make more money than a war makes. He's like, oh, I don't know, man, war sucks, so costly. I'm like, yeah, but like realistically, war is the most profitable thing, because you can make a contract to sell 300 million rounds of ammunition following the Warsaw Pact or the NATO caliber. And so let's say you're a NATO force that's working with Afghanistan, which only has Warsaw weapons like Kalashnikovs. So you need to get Albanian rounds that came from China. It's like $300 million later, you're killing people, And then Ukraine with the drones. You got to make all these drones. Takes metals from different regions. You have to extract those metals, and they all end up in a landfill anyway, because you're just fighting. But if you don't kill anybody, because you figure out how to make a robot war, then you've figured out a way of making tons of money off war without the loss, right? And I think that's where a lot of people are at. They figured out how to use war because that's a solid business model, and then cut out some of the middlemen, like the humans that get killed in it. But really, the trick is you got to figure out a way of making more money, not just for yourself, but for these companies and for these countries, more money than they can make from a war. Because if you can do that, then they're not going to fight a war. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, of course, if you want to make money, you want to make hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars, you're gonna have a war, right? Headed to Whistler's, then Space Cowboy. Let the fanboys know if you're hosting a gathering before you get out of town. The first round's on me. 5-leaf clover, that's all Austin speak about places in Austin? Please send me on the F chat. Go to the F chat and send a message there. I'm gonna be done with this in a few minutes. It's been about an hour, and I'm gonna move on from here. But yeah, I'd be happy to meet up. I still gotta meet with people I was supposed to see yesterday. So far though, Austin's great, and maybe it's just because I'm from California and this is like where they want the Californians to go. But this is like the best I mean, I don't understand why California sucks so bad. It's so simple. Do it like Austin's doing it. You can still have a bunch of rowdy hippies. You can still have a bunch of college kids talking about socialism. I'm sure there's like Texas communists that exist here. I'd love to interview some of them. But you can't compare it, right? Because if you hate it, then you would move to California. Oh, what do you guys think about what's going on with Zoran in New York? I hear a lot of people talking smack on it because they're all like, oh man, you know, he's a communist and all that. And I make the distinction. I'm actually weirdly in his defense because I don't think it's his fault. I honestly think Cuomo is worse than Zoran. Am I wrong here? Am I going to get in trouble for saying that? He's a social democrat. He's like going to make things worse probably, but who wouldn't? It's politics. I don't know. I feel like he sucks, but Cuomo would have been worse. And no one was going to vote for like a decent person. Can someone please explain the economic tax system for Washington State? These idiots are mathematically dyslexic, Reezus. Yeah. I mean, I heard I'm in the rougher side of town. That's the other thing. Like, I usually end up at the bus stop and walk out from there. That's how I went from the Capitol through the roughest. Found this place called the world famous chili parlor. The best chili parlor. The venison chili and all that. Yeah, so far, I don't know. In terms of roughest parts of town, I know it exists, but it's still, again, the roughest part of town here is nothing compared to the decent parts of downtown Oakland or San Francisco or whatever. Mike says, the Cosmic Cowboys days of the 70s were great. Armadillo World Headquarters was okay to smoke weed at in the 70s. I haven't seen a lot of that yet. I'm sure people do smoke a lot of weed and all that, but I haven't seen a lot of that. And I think it's probably for the best. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not against you doing your thing. I think it should all be about like liberty and freedom and all that. But yeah, I think it's probably there's a lot less tar everywhere. Andreas, surprise, turn around. I'm walking up behind you right now. Bro, you're in Massachusetts. I know you are, because I visited you last time I was there. There's no way you just flew into Texas. That would be sweet, though. I would be into that. True, haven't been there since the 90s. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Last time I was in Texas was like 15 years ago. It's crazy. I keep putting it off. And working at Timcast, you know, like a lot of people would be from Texas, and I was like, oh, look at this. All my friends from Palo Alto put on cowboy boots and moved to Texas, and they're all happy. But no, I get it now. Like, honestly, if I moved to Texas, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not doing it anytime soon. I'll keep my eyes out, though. I mean, I'm thinking about Texas more and more now. I get it. It seems pretty chill. It's a pretty good place to be. I still think I'd rather live in, like, Paraguay. What's the truth about Austin? What's the truth about Austin? I think the truth about Austin is it's like, it's a good place, right? But the rest of Texas is probably better. But I don't know that. You know what I mean? I feel like, maybe it is good that it's got that balance of trying to be the reactionary place. I used to think, oh man, you don't want to be in Austin because it's the liberal part of Texas. But maybe it adds some balance to things, that you've got multiple. Have I seen Joe yet? No, I haven't gone to I know there's like that thing, right? He does those shows. I could. I don't know if I care. I might. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, might be worth it. I'm focusing on seeing Alex on Friday. And I might try to run into the base crew. But like I said, I'm not even supposed to be here anymore. I'm like Dante. I'm not supposed to be here anymore. Yeah, you should interview me? Well, yeah, thank you, obviously. I agree. I'm kind of at this point where I'm a deranged old man, though. It's great. I'm like this tired, disgruntled YouTuber who's like, yeah, what's the point? What's the point of it all? You know, like you're watching YouTubers, they're multiplying exponentially. Quality is getting worse and worse for all YouTube streams. Eventually, there will be no audience left. What's the point in watching a podcast if you can just have AI make one for you? AI is training on all of our data. That's the real thing. Very soon, all of the Xirtus shorts and movies and interviews, it's already been done. Scraped by Gemini. Google's gonna have access to that data. I'm not really losing heart because I feel like even if you guys didn't hear it, which I noticed, I see you here, you do hear me, and that's great. But even if you didn't, even if this, look at like YouTube streams, this is crazy. It used to get hundreds of views, now we're like 50 or some shit. Like, it's ridiculous. But X, Twitter, Rumble, Kick, all that, it all adds back up. But it's basically not more than it was before. It's just kind of in all the different fields the same amount. But that content is being scraped by AI, and AI is learning from it. So at least somehow we're going to make the world a better place because AI is going to know that stuff. And that's just, that's a little bit of a silicon pill for you. I don't know. Well, all right, I'm going to get going pretty soon. Is there anything else you wanted to have me talk about or comment on, or just tell me also if there's something you want to make sure I talk about soon, because I'm going to be doing Think Tank on Sunday, and I've been moving the shows earlier in the day, which obviously hadn't helped the algorithm. Should probably do them in the evening again, but I was in Europe, where I'm going to go back to inevitably. So the earlier the shows were, easier it was. It's 9 hours different over there. Where are the tall black trans men soliciting fentanyl? I know, right? I should do a CNN special on the the discrimination against fentanyl dealers and why they're not treated with more love and respect for all they do for our society. Dude, I want to go to Ohio, actually. 67 Kevin, you gotta do subscribe to 67 Kevin. I'm gonna do a video with him at some point just to introduce him so you guys know his face. But this freaking guy is like this tall. I just make him look taller than he is, but he's to me he's like a tree, And what brand is your gas mask? Right. Go on a hog hunt. This is all reasonable stuff to do. Checking the mounds. Yeah, definitely gonna do the mounds. And there's a star for it here. I'm gonna go see too. But yeah, check out 67 Kevin because he did some interesting videos in Ohio when they were talking about like Haitian immigrants eating cats. And from what I can tell, what's really going on is, since the last time I was in Ohio, the fentanyl crisis had started, there are just ghost towns across Ohio where so many people have died that the whole towns are just gone, right? They just wiped out towns. And they need people there. So they're bringing in people that have suffered under the Clinton Foundation in Haiti. And they're moving in, and they're, there's goose in the park. They're eating the goose. That's what it sounds like. And I think that's great. It sucks that they killed all these innocent people. It sucks that fentanyl happened. It sucks that there are ghost towns. But I don't see a problem with French Haitians moving in to ghost towns if these are destroyed. That's a myopic view because I get the whole point that there were people that had been in these towns for generations and then they were all murdered, essentially. It's ethnic cleansing. I get you. But, yeah, come to Indiana and we can do speed in a cornfield? No, thank you. Yeah, Indiana does seem to be like a speed place. I'm not a big fan, Like my mom was all about the ADD medication, wanted me to do Adderall and Ritalin and all that crap when I was a little kid. So I'm pretty like anti-speed. Not my favorite thing. I don't really like those drugs. I can't even really like enjoy coffee, Like when the Mormon said you don't drink coffee, I was like, that sounds great. Like, because that stuff makes me stressed out. It's like bad tweak or something. So, kind of avoid all that. Actually, if there are real asylum seekers, I have no problem with actual refugees making a better life for themselves. Well, yeah, like literally that's what America I thought was. It's people that are escaping bad situations and have shared American values. So let's say you want to be a cowboy. I don't care what color you are. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big thing, like Denmark. If you saw what was going on in Denmark recently, Denmark is pushing out all these immigrants and everyone's thinking it's controversial. But if you're not seeing your families practice the Christmas rituals that they used to do, and all of a sudden you've got kids in masks and burqas and all that, it's not so much that you have to hate Islam or hate burqas. You can totally do that where you're from but it makes it a lot harder to maintain. If you got a small population, you have certain values that you think are really important, you know, like equal rights for women, not just like rights, but equal treatment and fair pursuit of happiness for all people. It gets a little messy when you start having conflict, when some people saying, I don't think we're really all fighting for the same goals. Some people have different goals and they don't really want to do that. And I think that that's a problem. That might be the actual problem with immigration, or problem with different cultures. Like, it's totally cool to have different cultures. I'm not a big fan of like genital mutilation and you know, like forced clitoris removal in Africa. I think some cultures are probably not as good as others, but I certainly don't think those things should be imported. What a great way to end this stream, right? We'll talk about that. I can speak for women's rights in Islam. Yeah, well, you know what? Like, realistically, it's not Islam's fault, because women have rights to property in the Quran. Originally, they had more rights in the Quran than they did in Christianity under Timothy, right? Like the Timothy saying that women can't teach, women can't hold positions of power. Deuteronomist removing women from priestesses, the Kohenites. That's all fair. Like, I'm not pretending for 1 second that the West is like somehow superior in terms of equality. But we should aim for that. We should probably shape the narrative that it is, because if that's what people push for, then eventually you kind of pervert your culture into something that helps people. And I'm totally fine with misconstruing things if it helps people. Like Disney movies, it's totally cool. Like, it's all right. You don't have to be historically accurate to oppression. Islam had better divorce laws? Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, that's definitely true. It's weird when you look back at the Crusades and you start to see how much worse things were under the Christian regions, right? I was showing a bunch of these Christians recently the Czech churches made of skeletons, where like 40,000 Christian bones are arranged, but they're, sorry, heretic bones, because they didn't like the kind of Christians that they were. And I think we should probably consider that it's like Nietzsche said, like, Christians are great when they're on the outs, when they're in sewers underground, when they have to try to pander to you to make you appreciate them. But as soon as any group's in charge, and particularly ones that believe that, you know, sinful behavior is wrong, doesn't matter if it's Islam or Christianity, but when you do that, like, you can basically torture or kill or arrest anybody because they're imperfect. And with Christianity, everybody's imperfect. It's not something that's, you know, easy to thought crimes would technically be illegal in a Christian state, right? The moment you've lusted after a woman in your heart, you've committed the sin of adultery. So thought crimes would be illegal if it was interpreted that way. I think that's something that we need to be considering if we're thinking, oh, well, you know, Christianity is this great thing. Like, maybe we need the best of both worlds. Freemasons were pushing for this idea that everyone could have self-determination and that minorities would be protected. And they meant ideological minorities, but ideological minorities would have included Muslims from Lebanon and different French groups like the Cathars, just to justify Freemasonry. I'm just going to make sure everyone's feeling annoyed at me. I'm like, yay, Freemasonry. You know, I'm not a Freemason. I'm not good at keeping those secrets. I'm not, like, interested in doing that. But, you know, like, America was built, I would say, by Freemason occultists. Not America was built by Christians. Okay, if that's what I'm going to end on, I think I'm okay. I think that's what I'm going to end on. Name a victimless crime, bro. Free speech. What's another one? What's another crime? Skateboarding? Skateboarding is not a crime. I'll have to think about that. Are a Mormon though right? Are a Mormon though right? Are the Mormons right? Is that what you mean? Do I know the passwords and the handshakes? Hell yeah, I do. So, bro, get a Google. Go look it up. Why not? You can know that stuff. Know thyself, though, right? You can know stuff. You don't have to promise to keep secrets. This is a big thing for me. There's a difference between a secret and a mystery. Jaywalking is not a victimless crime sometimes, right? jaywalking can cause problems, right? Jaywalking can be really close to what those Marxists do in San Francisco where they block the highway. Oh yeah, Brian Johnson's mushroom trip. I do really want to talk about that. I think that's really interesting when a former religious person, he happens to be a former Mormon, when they spend a lot of time discovering themselves. You know, I don't know what's better, like to be totally uninhibited and free like I was, and then to eventually come to a place of finding conservative morality exotic. I think that's where I'm at right now, where I'm like, wow, Texas is so clean. Like, you take me to Singapore and that'd just be like, oh look, there's no gum under anything, this is amazing, I love it. That's probably where I'm at. But when I was a kid I had blue hair. I'm the best. Thank you. I think you're the best, Black Eye. You're great. You practice handshakes in the mirror. You should get one of those mannequins to practice on. One time I did, though. I was at the Scottish Rite Temple. I was walking by it, and I looked at it for a while, took some photos of it, and this dude came running out, and we had just been in the back of, behind the Scottish Rite Temple on 19th Avenue in San Francisco. There's this Lutheran church or something. I went into that church and we were talking to this nice lady about it, and she was really sweet. And then she said that the Freemasons have been very nice to them, the Scottish Rite have been very nice and helpful to them. This guy comes running out anyway, and he's like, hey, are you Freemasons? And I said, like, no. I shouldn't even show you. I was like, no, what did I say? I said, like, I'm like the at site or something like that. I forget what it was, or my grandfather was. But I did all of the tokens for the 3rd degree, for the 3 degrees for him. And he was really, you know, you could tell he was kind of shocked. And I kept asking him, like, yeah, this is great. Like, I love what you guys are doing. And he was trying to tell me, see how this guy, you know, here's a picture of a guy from the 80s. I hated that guy, he said. You know, I wasn't even coming to the lodge back then because I hated that guy. Now he's dead and he's great. Now it's way better here. And he's trying to get me to, like, say, okay, things have changed and now it's good and you should join the thing. And I kept asking, like, what's the point? Like, why would I promise to keep secrets? This is all stuff that I know because it's, like, available to know. Aren't we better off having all this information available for people to know? And he couldn't really give me, like, a good answer on, like, why it would be better to live without these secrets. But I think it's, like, the difference is you want a mystery. A secret's something that you're not allowed to tell people. A mystery is something you cannot understand. And I think that's way better. I mean, you can talk about the mysteries of faith, the mysteries of the esoteric. You can tell people everything about them. You can spend lifetimes explaining this stuff to people, and they'll never fully understand it. Doesn't matter how much they know about it. Bro's got a bumper just dragging on the ground there. That's like the only... See, it just sticks out more because of how quiet and decent it is here. Well, all right. I'm going to talk about Brian Johnson. We'll talk about that on Think Tank. Raphael and I were just talking. We're going to do a show really soon. We have some plans. We have some interviews lined up. Naropa will be back shortly. He's been working a lot because he's got this thing where he takes care of, you know, nomadic refugees in Austria, helping them now that they get like citizenship or visas to find jobs in Austria. He's literally like an administrator for the Viennese government right now. I want to show you his office. He's got all these pictures of like reptilians in executive suites wearing suits that they put up in the wall there. It's a bunch of pictures of lizards, like reptilians running the city. What internet do I use to stream? Kind of steady for a phone hotspot. This is a 5G connection, you know? It's on one of those cell phones. Regular. It's probably AT&T or something. What are the Oddfellows? Originally a philanthropic group associated with the Foundlings. All right, well, I'm gonna take off right now, but the Brian Johnson point was a good one made, and I'm gonna talk about that. I think it's really interesting when someone waits their whole life to do something crazy, and I wonder what's better. To do crazy things all your life until you start doing normal things, which is kind of where I'm at, or doing normal things all your life and then doing some crazy stuff when you're older. Theoretically, that's like what the Kabbalah is about, right? You're supposed to wait till you're in your 50s. Okay, well, take care, everybody. Be good to each other. Love yourselves. Love each other. I love you. Peace out.